I wrote a song about Frank Weems in Memphis.
Could you give us a little bit? They thought he was killed, is that right?
I wasn't present when it all happened. I can give you what Frank Weems told me. I was the first one to see Frank Weems after this was over of the Union. I met him in Chicago at the, can't even call the name of that.
A man and his wife stand in the winter of his decision. He knows that the only path is forward. He doesn't know everything that's to come, but he knows that there will be steep consequences for his actions, and he knows this before making even the smallest move. He can see it in his mind's eye. He can imagine the losses and the gains. He knows that some will come up short. He knows that some will endure unimaginable hardships, but it can't be helped. It's the price of the ticket. And worse is to do nothing. And so what are his options? He knows that a man must stand for something, lest he fall for anything. And so he joins the Union. Imagine that all you want is a fair shake, the ability to live in dignity, to raise your family, to watch them grow, to love your wife, to dance in the summer sun. Nothing more. And imagine for daring to want this, you are charged with the unimaginable, disrupting and disturbing the peace. And therefore you are terrorized, brutalized, beaten, and left for dead at the side of a road. This is what happened to my grandfather, Frank Weems. In 1936, in eastern Arkansas, near Earl, in the Boot Hill of the South, in that rich black earth of plenty, of single crops, black and white sharecroppers, tired of being tired and of making 75 cents per day, formed the Southern Farmers Tenants Union. For their efforts, they were terrorized, beaten, jailed. Some were murdered, and hundreds were forced to leave plantations and farms they call home. My grandfather, Frank Weems, was one of those organizers, and his efforts were to have serious consequences for himself and for my family. Dozens of families are evicted from their homes and forced to live on the side of the road. The party of Lincoln, the party of the right, fail you and eventually turn you over to the party of the left that became the party of right. The war, the Civil War, the war to end all wars, free the slaves, but not you. The cotton gin, spinning Jennings' cotton into gold. The industrial rise changes cotton culture forever. And now you are replaced by machines that left you idle, and so no longer needed or wanted. The ties that tie you to the land are finally broken. The road is not straight. It twists and turns, it zigzags to things that actually dissipate. But even in this, it carries you past all of the historical circumstances. It passes all of the lies and the shattered dreams. It passes all of the broken promises, all of the nightmares, and it leads you straight into the heart of darkness. You had been beaten and thought dead. But you wake up and you find yourself deep in the woods, surrounded by the cold. You wake up and you find yourself alive. And you know that you can never go back. There are no other options. A man is forced to leave his home and everything that he's ever known. His wife Vera and his 8 children, his friends. He has to decide something that he's never had to decide before. Whether to leave or to stay. And this decision will be a decision that he carries with him for the rest of his life. Because he decides to run. There is no other option. His life has been threatened. The life of his family, his children, his friends. The only option is to leave. The only option is to survive. And so he crawls and walks and runs and hides, making his way slowly but surely, following his North Star and arriving in Chicago.
The song I wrote it before. I wrote it in Memphis. It was a few days after the word got out that Frank Weems got killed or something. I want somebody to tell me and tell me right. I want somebody to tell me where Frank Weems tonight.
Assumed dead, your life takes on new meaning. Your name becomes a constant refrain. It's used by the Union, by the Socialists, the Communists, the Klan, and the press. The Amsterdam News, all of the Negro papers, even Time magazine asks the question, where is Frank Weems? Songs are written in your name and sung up and down the Union line. Even President Roosevelt asked the question, where is Frank Weems? Vera, your wife, and your son Clarence are photographed by some of the great photographers of the FSA, Lang and Vachon. But it appears that you were worth more dead than alive. We learn that you have made your way to Chicago. We see you in your lawyer's office preparing suit against the state of Arkansas for your mistreatment. But once you're found, there's no more mention of you. There are no more articles about you. And so the family begins to search, and we search in vain for a very, very, very long time. Dear Frank, I found that your father was named George Weems, and your mother was Betty Shelton, both born in Ohio. Did you have a brother or a sister? Who were your aunts, uncles, cousins? Who were your grandparents on both sides? One source says you were born in Davidson County, Tennessee. The other indicates Ohio. Before you met and married my grandmother Vera Phillips, a source says you were married before at age 23 in approximately 1904. Who was she, Frank? Did you have kids with her? Where did you live when you met and married? Frank, I hope you didn't abandon her. That would have made me oh so sad. From the year of your birth, on March 21st, 1881, until you married Vera in Arkansas on January 4th, 1920, I'm having a difficult time locating you. What was those early years like for you? When did you become a union organizer? Was it before or during the evictions in Arkansas? Were the actions of the union aid in the evictions? I can't imagine what it was like for you and my family. When you were gone, Vera had a hard life. In 1940, she was with a man for a while who helped her with your children. Your son Merle had to basically kidnap his mother, your wife, and another of your grandchildren, Maddie Jean, from a sharecropping situation. It's almost a scene from a movie. Apparently, under the cover of darkness, one cold, wintry, rainy night in Mississippi, he went and rescued her and took her to Memphis. When Maddie Jean told me they walked all the way. That's almost 70 miles. An hour and a half by car, 24 hours on foot. The state of mind my grandmother must have been in is unimaginable. My father said leaving her there was not an option. He was about to embark on a journey to Oregon. When they arrived in Memphis, he had a place all ready for her. In the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, under Part 3, Article 6, it states, "Every human being has the inherent right to life. This right shall be protected by law, and no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life." Under the United States Charter on Human Rights, and in the name of Frank Weems and the entire Weems family, we charge the state of Arkansas for crimes against humanity. We charge them in the name of Frank Weems for his forced migration, for the loss of his family and all of his children, for the loss that they suffered and for the emotional trauma endured, for the long days and the sleepless nights, for the violation against his human dignity, for the lack of liberty and freedom, for the unwarranted suffering, for all of the pain, for all of the lies, for all of the dreams and hopes that were shattered, for his enslavement, for the brutality directed against him, for the murder of his family and his friends, for the endless search, for the disruption to his life, for all of the unanswered questions, for the worry, for the beating and the hunting and the dragging, for the time spent on the side of the road, for the walking and the running, for every moment spent in hiding, for the joy that was missed, for the family time, for the birthdays and the holidays and the family gatherings, for the dinners and the dancing and the births and the deaths, for the celebrations, graduations, for the days on the beach, for the sunsets, for the laughter, the bidwis and the backslapping, for the sheer fun, for home, for the evening strolls, for sitting on the porch, for the joy of watching his children grow, for the cuddling and the hugs and the love, for the endless summer days, and the fucking and the fighting and everything that comes along with being in a family, for the nightmares and the terror, the vicious acts of vengeance, the sheets and the torches, the night raids, the rapes and the pillage, the shit and the dirty hands, the filthy mouths, and the constant terror, the malicious treatment of women and children. We charge this in the name of the Weems family. We charge the state of Arkansas for his forced migration, for the loss of his family and all of his children, for their loss and their burden and emotional trauma, for the long days and the sleepless nights, for the violation of his human dignity, for the lack of liberty and freedom, for the unwarranted suffering, for all of the pain and all of the lies and all of the shattered dreams, for the murder of his friends, for the search, for the disruption, for all of the unanswered questions, for the worry, for the beating and the hunting and the dragging, for the time spent on the side of the road, for the walking and the running and the hiding, for the nights and the days that were lost, for the joy that was missed, the family time that was missed, the birthdays and the family gatherings and the holidays, the dinners and the dancing, births and the
If I